I was not expecting this. Today, one of the biggest features that came with Season 26 has been removed indefinitely. Also, we just found out how to get free mythic grenade skins, and Respawn just gave us a big update about matchmaking. But first, let's talk about the coolest thing, because you may be aware that you need to buy the mythic R301 to even have the chance to then buy mythic grenade skins with exotic shards. Basically, they cost a lot of money and a lot of effort to get, but it turns out they're really easy to get for free, and there's apparently no rhyme or reason to why this glitch exists. It just does. All you have to do is play Fuse and then toggle your power to be full power so he shoots grenades out of his arm. And for some inexplicable reason, whenever he does this, it actually skins the grenades as the mythic grenades. So if you want to troll your friends, you can genuinely just pretend you've got these, and it works on every grenade type. This is also a pretty cool way to preview what these grenades look like if you were interested in buying them. And obviously, if you were interested in buying them, you'd use code GRRT. But moving on, Respawn just announced something over on Twitter, and it's basically just the removal of a really big part of Season 26. As you may be aware, when Season 26 was getting revealed, Respawn dedicated a pretty big part of the patch notes to talk about their new addition, Accolades, which were essentially achievements within Apex Legends. These achievements would reset every season, and when you achieved them, they would offer you some bonus XP. From the start, Accolades had issues. The day Season 26 came out, they had to be temporarily removed due to a glitch, and then people just didn't really like the implementation of them when they were added back. They were a big source of visual clutter because they would get in the way of your screen and they would play a sound, and also people felt like they didn't really offer much. Okay, they offered achievements to complete, but in the way of rewards, they didn't offer much apart from a bit of bonus XP. Something weird happened though. Last week, while everybody was quite frustrated with them, Respawn removed them from the game, saying, "Heads up Legends, due to an issue we'll be disabling Accolades from Apex. We'll update everyone when a fix is found and the feature can be re-enabled. We don't anticipate that they'll be back until sometime next week. We wish everyone the best with their upcoming weekend games." And the top reply to this was, "Keep them disabled." Now, we didn't know why Respawn disabled them because there wasn't a clear glitch, but we assumed they would be back the next week. And then that week passed, and they weren't re-added. Fast forward to today, which is over a week since they were disabled, and Respawn just dropped another tweet. In this tweet they said, "Hey Legends, our intention with Accolades was to celebrate player accomplishments, but we can see that we've missed the mark. We temporarily disabled them to work on an issue, but we've decided to keep Accolades out of Apex for an indeterminate amount of time, while we revisit this feature to better align them with our initial goals and your feedback." So, as it stands, Accolades are just removed until we hear something else. And if you want to see what kind of feedback Respawn will be listening to, this was the top reply about feedback. They need to be usable in banners, so allow the player to put Accolades in the badge section of banners, be showable in the profile tab, and Accolades need to be achievable for actual useful things, not just sliding and jumping. And I agree, Accolades were a cool idea, but they weren't implemented very well, and Respawn could use this time to make Accolades something people actually want to work towards because they give you rewards or they're just super hard challenges. Hopefully, when Accolades do come back, whenever that is, they are back in a better form that more people can enjoy. This isn't the first time Respawn have removed a long time feature, saying it will come back when Respawn figure out how to implement them better, as when Ranked Rumble first came out. It was very rocky, and people had plenty of criticism towards it. So Respawn said, for the foreseeable future, Ranked Rumble will be removed while we work on it, and then when it returned, it was back in a much better and more enjoyable form. So hopefully Respawn do Accolades justice and give us an actual new outlet for progression. Moving on though, because that isn't the only change that Respawn have done. In fact, Respawn released a blog the other day about matchmaking, and it turns out they've been doing a lot behind the scenes to experiment and make the best matchmaking possible. And to be honest, before we talk about this blog, it does seem like the ranked matchmaking has been doing pretty well this season, and the ranked bell curve is actually really impressive. Everyone seems to be in a rank they deserve to be in. Well, at least it seems that way right now. But getting onto the blog, Respawn released a blog the other day called Apex Legends Matchmaking Test Update. And they started this by saying, from July 28th to August the 25th, we created hard rules in our matchmaking configurations that only allowed Masters to play with other Masters and Diamond 1 players. Diamond 1 players could match as normal. This test was needed not only to address some suggestions from the community, but also to gather data on the specific hard limit to understand what type of impact it would have. And now the test is concluded, we're sharing a breakdown of our efforts and what we found. So basically, if you don't understand, the test Respawn ran restricted Masters and Predators to be matched with Diamond 1 players and above. So basically Masters and Preds could not get into lower lobbies. Respawn said, for the overall results of this test, median matchmaking times remain consistent from before the change. There was a 7% increase in matchmaking queue abandonment across all regions for above Diamond 1. There was an increase in average hours played from Diamond 1 players, but a drop for Masters players as they had much more of a restricted play window. This is fairly common towards the end of the season, but for Masters the drop was larger than we'd typically see during this time period. This test provided great learnings that will help us with potential next steps on how to further modify our matchmaking configurations over the course of a season. This test was generally received by you, our community, with appreciation for our testing and transparency, which we'll look to continue with any additional updates. Our initial announcement led to some concern around longer queue times for Master players, especially in regions and on platforms with lower populations of Master players and Diamond 1 players. That combination did end up having negative impact, as some higher tier players had to wait for extended periods during lower population times. Matches didn't connect, but the experience fell outside of anticipated expectations. Other regions with higher populations had healthier matchmaking during peak concurrency, but struggled to create lobbies for Master players during off-peak times. Outside of the impact above, queue times for players that waited the longest had an average increase of 15 seconds for matchmaking. There was also a minute percentage where queues increased from 4 minutes to 5 to 6 minutes. So basically here, Respawn said the test was successful, but for some people it led to longer queue times, and for people in low population areas like maybe Australian servers or Nintendo Switch servers, they had to wait a lot longer, especially at times when not a lot of people were playing, like late at night. Respawn then says, what are we going to do next? Before we jump into potential plans for the future, here's a rundown of our matchmaking goals for ranked. Everyone should be able to find a match, even if they have to wait longer. Ranked tier width is prioritized over time spent waiting for a match. Closer matches are more important than how long you wait, which a lot of people have been asking for. A lot of people have said, I'd rather wait longer and have fairer matches than get into a game quick, which is blatantly unfair. They also said, increase transparency on why you're getting matched the way you are. They go on to say, with those in mind, here's how we're working towards our next ranked matchmaking experiments. Expand the limit on who Masters can play against further into Diamonds. We'll be looking at a new set of timing rules for when Masters can expand matching into additional Diamond ranks after first waiting for other Masters and D1 matches. Maintain rules that prevent Masters from matching into Platinum and below. The skill gap between these is too wide to be fair. And finally, they said, looking at overall seasonal population growth curve to find the best time to enforce these rules, with considerations for players who hit Masters early in the season before an optimal population for hard limits in hitting our goals. Look forward to additional updates from the team as we get closer to our next rollout in Showdown Split 2. As always, we appreciate your feedback and continued passion around matchmaking and all things Apex. So this is really surprising from Respawn for several reasons. First of all, they ran a really heavy matchmaking test that could have ruined ranked for a few weeks, but they did it and came out with decent results. And from these results, they are just going to improve the game, which is massive. From what I'm picking up from this, Respawn are happy with the test of locking Master, Predator and Diamond 1 players in kind of their own little lobby ecosystem, so they don't spill out onto anyone else, but they can only really activate this system when enough people are in these ranks. So they can't really activate this type of thing in the early season. It seems with the statistics and information they've learned, they are going to take action and make ranked matchmaking a bit fairer, which is going to be great for everyone, even if you don't play ranked. I'm honestly surprised about the amount of W's Respawn have been having recently, and I really pray to God that this isn't going to be a temporary thing, and this is just Respawn from now on, because they put so much effort into the game now. It's kind of unreal, and I feel like we owe them a lot. And honestly, the transparency is great. It might sound like I'm glazing, but if you've been following me for like the past 4 years, my main issue has been lack of transparency from Respawn and Respawn not trying new things. And lo and behold here, they're fixing both of these things. Apex is looking up right now, and I can't wait to see what the mid-season update is going to be. If you want to see that, subscribe. And also, if you want to buy any Apex coin, use my code in the Apex Store website or the EA app.